authorities and discretions vested in them under the Act, Local Government Act 1993, or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment. This council meeting is being live streamed via YouTube and recorded and published via council's website. To those present in the gallery today by attending or participating in this public meeting, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. The Mayor and/or General Manager have the authority to pause or terminate the stream if comments or debate are considered defamatory or otherwise inappropriate for publishing. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if they engage in unlawful behaviour or commentary. I advise that Councillor Boland took the oath of office before the General Manager on the 18th of October 2024, and Councillor Turley made the affirmation of office before the General Manager on the 21st of October 2024. This now completes the swearing in of newly elected council as per the requirements of the Local Government Act. We have nil apologies. We have a leave of absence from Councillor Turley submitted a leave of absence for this meeting and provided the reason attending to a family event that cannot be avoided. Can we have a mover that the leave of absence be moved? Councillor Chandler, seconded Councillor Gillett. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Almighty God, we ask you to invoke your blessing upon this council, direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Councillor Gallagher.
Yeah, I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet, the land of Winnicarli people, and pay our respect to those elders, past, present and emerging.
Councillor Chandler.
We take time to reflect, remember and honour the over 800 miners that lost their lives and those that were crippled or maimed on the line of labour. We thank the brave miners and their wives who were part of the 1919-1920 strike that lasted over 500 days and delivered a 35-hour working week. Mining is our past and future.
Thank you to all councillors that spoke. Now, if we just will take the time, Councillor or former Councillor Page, I should say, we just have a small presentation to honour your service to Broken Hill as both a councillor and a mayor over a period of time.
Always had a good relationship with local people in the council of Broken Hill. We're a proud town and it's my hometown and I'll always be there to do what I can to. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. The first public forum session of 15 minutes will consider submissions from the public regarding matters that were listed for consideration at this meeting and also general matters. The public have been advised through notice of council's website to register and soon probably in the new Broken Hill Times. So that'll be put back on by 4 p.m. today if they wish to address council during the public forum session. Members of the public who have registered to address council will be given preference, and then if time permits, anyone else present in the public gallery may address council. Speakers are allocated 2 minutes. We have one submission from Miss Christine Adams, Broken Hill Tram interpretation by Sulphide Street Railway and Historic Museum. Thank you, Christine.
You got to.
Oh, just hold it. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The discussions about the historic tram carriage has been going on for many years. In fact, over the years, I've actually approached 4 general managers about trying to save it. And not just me, other members of the Heritage Committee and people of the community. So I'd like to thank our current general manager, because without him, we probably would still be trying to save it, and it's in pretty bad condition. I just want to say that judging by this report, we do seem to have too many chiefs, and not enough Indians, which is a bit of a concern to me. As a report, the carriage is in 2 parts and in terrible condition. I did approach council with a 2020 report from another chief. The Broken Hill City Council Heritage Advisor of that time in 2020 was Paul Davies. And his suggestions are guiding the Railway Museum in how we can save parts, and I stress parts, of the carriage and preserve them as part of Broken Hill's transport history. His suggestion was to save a seat intact with the curved carriage ceiling and some doors and hardware. Importantly, the finished product will be undercover in the transport pavilion and will not be at risk from the elements as it is now. We already have a section in that transport pavilion that houses a model of the trams that was made by the late Bruce Rowett and donated before he went to Mildura to live. There's also photographs and articles about it all. So we actually do have an area, and we know where we can put what we hope we will be doing. I hope you will support this council report and allow us to do so, but it must be very clear. There is only so much that can be achieved without becoming a very costly exercise. In the event of that happening, the museum will not be able to carry through with it. So that would be a shame, because it is really deteriorating every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? No, thank you, Christine Adams. I will say that, look, heritage is really important. Anything that can be done to restore heritage or keep that heritage alive is really appreciated by me, and I'm sure the council, and I'm sure the wider community. So it will be debated during the council meeting, but I'm confident that at least we'll end up with a good home. Minutes for confirmation. That the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council of Broken Hill City Council held August 28th, and also the extraordinary meeting October 9. Do we have a mover?
Move both of those minutes.
Moved Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded Councillor Allgate. Do either of you? No. Is there any speakers to the minutes? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Disclosures of interest. Do we have any disclosures of interest? We have one disclosure of interest from a staff member. Do we have any other disclosures of interest? No. So we have a Lisa Bartlett, Executive Office, significant non-pecuniary, item 18 of the reports, report number 165/24. Son owns a vacant block at 81 Wyman Street adjacent to the said development, and will leave the chambers. Yeah. We move on to item number 11, which is the mayoral minute. I'll just briefly read the summary and then move the recommendation as written, with the addition to a couple of extra thank yous. A severe storm passed through Broken Hill and Far West New South Wales on the evening of Wednesday, the 16th of October, 2024. Causing 7 of Transgrid's transmission towers to collapse south of Broken Hill. These transmission towers provided power for Baronga substation to the Broken Hill, Menindee, Wilcannia, Tibooburra, Whitecliffs, Packsaddle, and the unincorporated area of New South Wales. The government have declared the storm event as a natural disaster. Transgrid have 2 gas turbine backup generators located in Broken Hill to supply the city and the Far West region should the grid power fail for some reason. but unfortunately, one of the generators has been out of commission for some time and is uncertain exactly how long this generator has been out of service. But according to Transgrid, the generator has been out of service since September 2024 due to it being refurbished. This communication breakdown is a contradiction of the obligations by Transgrid to notify the Local Emergency Management Committee, LEMC, and the Regional Emergency Management Committee, REMC, of any changes in backup power supplied to the city. Since the storm event occurred, Broken Hill Power has been provided by a lone gas turbine backup generator. The city has endured rolling blackouts across the city's grid to ensure the turbine generator did not overheat due to power usage and the impact of the generator of rooftop solar power feedings. At the time of writing the mayoral minute, 9 a.m. on Friday, 25th of October, 2024, the city is enduring its second major blackout. The first major blackout occurred on Tuesday, the 22nd, Wednesday, the 23rd of October, which for some parts of the city, it lasted 32 hours. And the second major blackout started at 2:30 a.m. this morning, with power yet to be restored to the city. Essential Energy staff have advised that power should be restored to the city sector by sector by 10:30 this morning. Transgrid have a lot to explain as to how this situation has happened and their management of backup power over the past 9 days. This is a very difficult time for our community, and I'm especially concerned for the elderly living at home or in nursing homes, for people who are unwell or on home dialysis, home oxygen, and other life support equipment, as well as families with young babies. I'm also concerned for the many businesses and their employees have been impacted by the power outage and how they will financially recover from this. I wish to thank Essential Energy staff, Transgrid staff, Perillia staff, and all contractors, including working around the clock to support the city during the emergency situations. I'd also like to thank the Rural Fire Service and the State Emergency Services as well, and also members of the Regional Emergency Management Committee and the Local Emergency Management Committee for their emergency planning expertise. I also wish to thank the Premier, the Deputy Premier, Opposition Leader, and the member for Barwon for visiting Broken Hill on October 24, 2024. To see firsthand the impact of the community and for supporting the community with an inquiry into Transgrid. I also thank the Premier for providing the financial relief package, $200 for households and $400 for impacted businesses available through Service New South Wales. This amount does not reflect the real losses to residents and small businesses. Transgrid have advised that they estimate the region will be temporarily reconnected to the grid power via temporary power lines by Wednesday, the 6th of November, 2024. There's been no indication when a permanent reconnection to the grid power will be re-established. I now move the following mayoral minute. That the mayoral minute number 1724 dated October 25, 2024 be received. That council thanks the Premier, Deputy Opposition Leader and the member for Barwon, also our Minister for Energy, Climate Change and Heritage, the Honourable Penny Sharp, also our Federal Labor Minister for Emergencies, Jenny McAllister, for their support and the inquiry into Transgrid. The council thanks Essential Energy and their workers for their ongoing and around-the-clock support, along with Transgrid workers, Perillia workers and contractors, and also the volunteers of the Rural Fire Service and also our State Emergency Services. The council thanks the Regional Emergency Management Committee and Local Emergency Management Committee for their ongoing emergency planning for the city. The council welcomes the financial relief packages, but more needs to be given to ensure that it covers the real loss to residents and small businesses, as well as ongoing outages that we may experience. The council requests that Transgrid make a public apology for letting the Far West community and the city of Broken Hill down. The council requests that TransGrid compensate all businesses and employees as a result of the outages and their failure to maintain appropriate backup equipment. The priority is given to ensure suitable backup generators and/or renewable storage is fast-tracked to ensure that this is not repeated in the future. The council write to the Federal Minister for Infrastructure and Minister for Emergency Services, State Ministers for Infrastructure, Minister for Emergency Service and our local member on the importance of upgrading the Broken Hill Airport to support larger aircraft in times of emergency to cater for the delivery of heavy equipment and support services. Do we have a seconder for that? Seconded, councillor Allgate. I'll just briefly speak on this. Look, it's been a hard time in Broken Hill for all residents, without a doubt, particularly when the power was out. It was very difficult during those times. It was very difficult for residents as power went off intermittently. As people were starting to regain confidence, it would black out again, which flattened the confidence that people had. This led to a lot of negative feedback into the community and a lot of mistrust and loss of trust within the energy services itself. It's important that we do contact those ministers to get an upgrade of our airport. If we do have an airport upgrade, which is $15 million to put a layer over that will allow us to land 737s, or alternately, we spend $10 million for a reseal that is needed anyway, that will have no additional benefit to the city. If we were able to land 737s, it would add resilience not only to Broken Hill, but also the far west of New South Wales, as bigger planes would be able to land more heavy equipment, which then gives us access not only by road, but also by airport. If that does happen, it will also mean that disasters can be handled not just in Broken Hill, but further afield, Wilcannia, Tibooburra, Menindee, etc. The other thing that is really important is that we do get that apology from TransGrid. An apology is essential. To rectify what's happened, an apology is needed. TransGrid, after initial weakness in providing the adequate services that were needed for Broken Hill, in the last several days, they've been exceptional. And I thank some of the workers that work for TransGrid that have spoken directly to me and have offered us additional help to the Broken Hill community. We also need to make sure that we do thank the ministers and the premiers involved, particularly Minister Penny Sharp, who has been in the city since early on in the weekend and provided a lot of ongoing support to the community, has fed back to the government and the Premier, but has also fed that information to her federal counterparts, which has made it possible for Broken Hill to get some of the additional services. And I do understand there is additional help being provided in the coming days and will be announced in the coming days. Our mines, I want to put a heartfelt acknowledgement to the mining and those that rely on the mines, the contractors, the mine workers who in some cases are taking no paid leave. So they're without any form of payment at the moment. I do hope that and am confident that there will be some form of payment coming in that direction, hopefully in the next few days. I also wish to acknowledge the people that have been at home, that have stood fast, spoken to emergency service, thanked those who needed to be thanked, and now are starting to move on. I'll open up the floor for anyone else that wishes to speak.
Yeah, Mayor Kennedy, I'd like to speak to that.
Yep. Councillor Byrne.
First and foremost, I'd like to highlight the resilience of residents of Broken Hill and Far West who have endured rolling blackouts, sometimes lasting over 30 hours, all while shouldering the strain of their disrupted daily lives. This has particularly been difficult for those who have been stood down from their employment, those who have critical needs, the elderly, people with health challenges, and those reliant on life support equipment and young families. The privatisation of TransGrid in 2015 shifted control of critical infrastructure into private hands reducing public oversight and putting the community's needs at risk. This situation has revealed some shortcomings from Transgrid through communication, contingency and maintenance measures, which have exposed our community to unacceptable levels of risk. The prolonged downtime of one of the city's 2 backup generators due to refurbishment without any timely notification left us relying on a single turbine that's not operating at full capacity. So which was resulted in power instability and load shedding. Our community deserves to know that robust, dependable systems are in place, not only for routine operations, especially in times of crisis. I commend the workers from Essential Energy, Transgrid, Perilia, and all contractors that work tirelessly to restore power and provide stability to the grid. I also want to thank Premier Chris Minns, Penny Sharp, Minister for Energy, Roy Butler, MP Barwon, and any other officials who visited Broken Hill and committed to an inquiry into Transgrid response, as well as all the financial relief packages that, whilst helpful, need to be more accurately reflected and true financial losses of the people of Broken Hill residents and businesses. Transgrid not only owes Broken Hill the Far West apology, but almost commit to this, ensuring this never happens again. There has been many talk fests with Transgrid throughout my career. I've been involved in Transgrid through the mines for a long time. And it's time for them to commit to reliable backup generation and upgrading our main grid supply. Currently, we have a transmission line with infrastructure well past its use by dates, despite Transgrid saying otherwise. This line urgently needs an upgrade to be less susceptible to major weather events and to enable the hundreds of millions of dollars in renewable energy projects in our region to operate at full capacity. As a council, we need to stand united, not only in gratitude for those who have helped us through this crisis, but the bipartisan support to demand better, more reliable infrastructure to prevent this from ever happening again.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Boland?
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Someone who was on the front line looking after the community over the last week and looking after over 500 people at its peak. The communications coming from Transgrid was absolutely disastrous. There was just no information coming from Transgrid. I think I on 2GB on Friday afternoon, I said it's been a comedy of errors, and it certainly was. Someone who's gone through Cyclone Yasi when I was up in Townsville over a decade ago. The response up there when half of North Queensland was blown over was a lot more impressive than what's Transgrid's just shown. We've seen reports coming out in media that Transgrid has been focusing on the massive East Coast interconnector, the Connect SA into New South Wales, Victoria, at the detriment of the Far West grid. I mean, at the end of the day, that connection out of Broken Hill, or that connection into Broken Hill, and that 250 odd kilometres of transmission lines powers a land mass of 40% of the state. And that's some of the most disadvantaged communities in the state that have been without power. Outside of Broken Hill, they've been without power the last, 2 nights. They're on tonight with other issues. So I think Transgrid's got a lot to explain, and I'm looking forward to the IPART inquiry and getting to the bottom of exactly how badly our assets have been let to deteriorate.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. One thing that is really important to this city, and it is the answer to our energy woes, and that is Hydrostore. Hydrostore compressed air storage is capable of producing and storing at the same time 100 megawatts of reliable power. It also, and this is for both state and federal governments, both Labor and Coalition. It's fine to build renewables, wind, solar, but you must build the storages to hold that wind and solar. Without the storages to hold the wind and solar, like in Broken Hill, is not only of no use, it can be harmful to the transmission generators when being used. For example, during the daylight hours when rooftop solar was being produced, our industrial areas, including our mining companies, were running machinery to take power out of the grid. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in power being generated in the use of machinery for no purpose other than to protect our local network. So I asked the government to ensure that as they build wind and solar, they also build the storages that go along with it. It's essential that our governments, both state and federal, do all they can to make sure that Hydrostore, compressed air storage, is able to go ahead and become operable as soon as possible. If it does happen, we could lose the grid tomorrow and would have no effect on Broken Hill. We would be a microgrid, a truly microgrid, and one of the largest in the world. So this is your opportunity, both state and federal government, to do the right thing by not only Broken Hill, but to have an experiment and show that renewables work if you have storage. If they don't, you'll have another episode, maybe not in Broken Hill or somewhere else, where the power lines will go on and go down and the renewables will be no help or effect whatsoever. I'll put it to Councillor Holgate.
I just wanted to endorse what's been said. I agree with everything that's been said by the three speakers. I'll just make mention that I think the council should stand firm in expecting Transgrid to provide adequate compensation to those who have suffered loss. I mean, we can't lose sight of the fact that we have to wait until the IPART investigation is completed, but it's pretty obvious to all involved that Transgrid are the ones that are mainly responsible. I think it's, as Councillor Byrne said, the government responded quite rapidly, and I thought the Premier Min's presentation was very sympathetic, and they did what they could, and things have from a slow start, things have started to move rather quickly. I did hear on the way up here tonight on ABC that they think the power will be back on the grid on Saturday, a few days earlier than expected. But there will be a 3-hour blackout in the reconnection process.
Thank you, Councillor Holgate. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We move on to reports.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yeah.
Could I ask, before we go on to the reports, that I'd like to, like your approval to submit a motion of urgency?
Yeah, what's your notice of urgency about, motion about?
It's about the local government New South Wales response to the Broken Hill City Council correspondence asking, do or do they not support the net-based group of councils?
You happy to move that,
In
Councillor?
terms of the expansion of boundaries,
Happy to move that, Councillor Holgate?
yes.
Seconded. This is for a motion of urgency. Seconded, Councillor Chandler. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll deal with it after all other items on the agenda are dealt with.
Thank you, Mr.
So item number 12, notice of motion, nil. 13, notice of rescission, motion, nil. 14, reports from delegates are nil. Item number 1, from reports, item number 1 is council report dated September 24, correspondence report, cost shifting onto local government. Do we have a mover for that?
Move the recommendation.
Moved, Councillor Holgate, seconded, Councillor Jewett. Councillor Holgate.
I think the concern that's been expressed by the Minister for Local Government, Ron Honig MP, has been quite pleasing on a number of fronts, and in particular this particular matter. He has expressed concerns about the sustainability of council, the way things are going, with the reduction with rate pegging and the cost shifting exercises that council are expected to accommodate and cost with them is really not practical in the long term. And I think the council's financial sustainability is pretty important, And there has to be, even though there's government grants available and all the rest of it, when there's 125 councils looking for money, and sadly, because we live in the western area, regional councils that don't often get the amount of grant funds that they deserve. And I think we need to congratulate the Minister for Local Government on his efforts in accepting what councils are saying and acting upon it.
Any other speakers? Just to put it in perspective, the cost shifting that has been worked out for Broken Hill area would be about $4.5 million. So that'd be $4.5 million extra that the Broken Hill City Council would have to spend on community infrastructure each year. That's a lot of roads, a lot of footpaths, and a lot of sporting facilities. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2 is correspondence report, New South Wales Internment Services Levy. We have a move for that.
Move the recommendation.
Move councillor Allgate, seconded councillor Hickey. Councillor Allgate?
Well, the internment levy that's been proposed, I think it was $200 per interment of ashes. And, you know, the theory is that it's going to fund a regulating body, a body with some teeth that might be able to rein in all those shonky operators, none of which exist in Broken Hill, thankfully. So the $200 on top of every funeral, burial of ashes, is just another ongoing cost that the council has to raise, but the funds go elsewhere out of town. I've often said, and I'll say it again, the cost of dying is and having a funeral is getting beyond a lot of people's means. I think if you look at just the standard interment without any modification to the grave site, a standard or a basic funeral is costs in the order of about $10,000 now, and not everybody has $10,000 to spare, and this just adds another $200 to it. But it's $200 that'll go out of the town because we won't see any benefit from it locally.
Thank you, councillor Allgate. Any other speaker? Councillor Gallagher, you were keen on that?
No, I'm still keen, and I think it's just absolutely disgusting what they've done to add more expense onto to the families who are going through a hard time when they lose a loved one. It's absolutely appalling, and I think it's atrocious and should not continue.
Okay. Look, it's punishing good councils like ours to pay for bad councils, and we as a community shouldn't be paying when we are a good community. We do the right thing, but we're going to be paying it anyway because there's bad actors out there that the government wants to reel in. Well, this is another form of cost shifting. If there's a problem in the state government that the state wants to deal with, don't put it on to local governments. We don't have a problem with our cemeteries or not complying with what's required. Other places do. The state government acknowledges there is a problem, so they put $200 on all councils, which is just more cost shifting. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3, correspondence report, Regional Airlines. Move Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded Councillor Byrne. Councillor Deputy Mayor Hickey.
Yeah, move as written, Mayor Kennedy. It was good to see the Honourable Catherine King come straight online when Rex started to fail. She got right off on the right foot, ensured that people wouldn't lose their fares, ensured that she would, and she actually promised on ABC that she would continue to make sure that all regional cities were serviced by air, and we wouldn't lose any benefits. So, it was really good, and move that as written.
Excellent. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 4, correspondence support for Silverlea Early Childhood Services. We have a mover
Move
for
that way.
Move councillor Boland, seconded
Seconded.
councillor Byrne. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Reading through this, it's seems to be there is some support available, some grants available for Silverlea Early Childhood Services. It's an important service to the city, and we can't let it fail. And it's good to see that there is some correspondence there that's directing the operators into the right direction. And hopefully they can get the support they need to continue providing that absolutely essential service to Broken Hill.
Thank you, councillor Boland. Councillor Byrne.
Yeah, look, it's great to see the report too. We've love the great organisation Silverlea, but let's just hope it doesn't stop there because there are plenty of childcare operators in Broken Hill who are struggling, who over 100 kids on their waiting lists and a lot to do with training and stuff like that. So let's hope that we're grateful to see some coming through. Let's hope it doesn't stop there.
Let's hope so. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 5, correspondence report, Broken Hill fruit fly, moved Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded councillor Jewett.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Yeah, look, very, very disappointing, the replies that we got back about the fruit fly. That the New South Wales government considers that the Queensland fruit fly is now endemic, which means that it's all over the state and can't be stopped. So they give up trying. They stop giving any funding to any regions for funding to help it. So now it's a growers own the responsibility to spray and control their fruit fly. That goes for their big fruit fly growing areas. We tried to get something for Broken Hill, but they're not coming to the party at all. And they've said that for Queensland fruit fly, they will put some traps out for some other what do they call them? Met fly, yeah, metropolitan fruit fly. Yeah, but I don't see what's the good of that if you got no fruit anyway, because the Queensland fruit fly destroy everything. So I move that motion as is, but I'll just speak a little bit further that as of next Tuesday night, we've got on the 6th, there's a meeting or a workshop being held in Broken Hill, which is being done in conjoint with Broken Hill City Council and Landcare, and they're sending up 2 pretty professional guys to speak and talk to us about it. We've bought 200 male fruit fly traps, which we will sell to the community as needed at cost price. So there'll be no extra charge on those. They are quite cheap. I haven't got the exact figure of them. A few $2. So they'll be $2 each, which is a pretty fair price. Now you'll need a few around your trees. And the thing is, and I'll talk to him more about next week, but it's to try and eliminate as many male fruit flies as we can. And then at some stage, if we can get that right down, maybe if we can find some dollars, bring in the infertile males and destroy the rest. So we'd try and publicise throughout the city. We need as many people at the Civic Centre as we can for that meeting. Thank you.
Any other speakers? Councillor Jewett.
Just that I agree 100% with Deputy Mayor Hickey. I was extremely disappointed going through the correspondence received. It's just very contradictory. It's so bad in Queensland, but yet you can't put up a sign and say, don't bring your stuff across the border. And I just don't understand. It's not good enough.
Agreed. Any other speakers? No. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 6 is Office of Local Government Councillor Conduct and Meeting Practice Review.
Move
Councillor
recommendation.
Allgate, seconded. Councillor Chandler, Councillor Allgate.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Once again, good work by Minister Ron Honig. The presentation of this discussion paper by the Office of Local Government has been the subject of a council workshop, with the result that this council is extremely supportive of the proposed objectives and changes in the discussion paper. Personally, I think the Minister for Local Government, Mr. Honig, gave a verbal undertaking during 2 meetings with the council, 2 previous meetings with the council, that he intended to introduce changes to the present code of conduct really to bring it into line with the code of conduct that applies to the state government. The code of conduct that applies to the state government takes up two foolscap pages, whereas the code of conduct for local government is never ending. And I think the pleasing thing that from a person that suffered a lot of code of conducts, the changes will result in significant cost savings in Broken Hill, the Broken Hill City Council. It'll stymie a lot of the frivolous complaints that are put in. It'll make it more difficult to for people who have a bias to use that bias or use the code of conduct as a tool to get back at one or another. And in doing that, as I said, there'll be significant cost savings. Once the draft is put together and approved by legislation, by Parliament, there will be no further code of conduct reviews, which in every council's case has cost lots of money, on average about $20,000 per or more. And sometimes the results that the conduct reviewers have come down with have been anything but the right decisions. So that will be outlawed. Councillors who are accused of or complained of with misbehaving and whatever, they'll be dealt with by a panel of experienced mayors and people that understand what local government's about, people that understand the pressures of local government and the day-to-day problems that arise, and other matters like conflict of interest, the more serious things like conflict of interest will be dealt with directly by the Office of Local Government. So all in all, I think this is a wonderful move. And again, I say, this is one politician, the Minister for Local Government, who said he planned to do things, and he has done that to date, and it's ongoing.
Councillor Allgate, would you also like to add a number 5 that we do send correspondence to Local Government Minister Ron Honig, thanking him for taking the time and honouring his pledge to actually implement true change with the local code of conduct, model code of conduct?
Be happy to do that.
Seconded. Yep. I might also just say that not only is the code of conduct a big document to read, part of that document says you must also read and understand the Local Government Act, which is 500 pages long. It also requires you to understand the EPA Act, the local government regulations, and many other acts, which means you have to be a lawyer just to understand what you're reading and looking at. And not only understand it, you have to be able to, you virtually cannot operate without breaching the Act almost all the time. So I'm thankful to be back down to a document that is 1 or 2 pages long, that people understand if they are breaching it. And if they do breach it, it will be a deliberate breach. It won't be an accidental breach. It'll be something that people are deliberately breaking the law. So I think it's a great document as well. Is there any other speakers on that? No? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 7 is the Code of Conduct Complaint Statistics Annual Report.
Move that way.
Moved Councillor Boland, seconded Deputy Mayor Hickey. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Looking through the statistics, quite impressive. There's only a couple there. But I bring attention to section 3, item M, $1,224 for the total cost of dealing with it. It wasn't that long ago that every code of conduct resulted in a $20,000 to $60,000 cost to the ratepayers and the council. So it just goes to show you that things can be dealt with at an affordable, a less cost than what it used to in the past. And as Councillor Allgate just said in item 6, it's great to see that it's been revamped, so that figure will hopefully stay low, and it won't be just for our council, it'll be for every council across the state.
Deputy Mayor Hickey.
I just concur with councillor Boland and councillor Allgate. But yeah, spot on. Thank you.
No other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 8 is appointment of delegates to committees October 2024 to September 2025. There's a number of items in this recommendation. Notes the appointment of the committees, the library consultative precinct be removed from the schedule as the previous merged. We also have to appoint chairs of each of the standing committees. We have a nominator, someone nominate for the infrastructure and environment. Deputy Mayor Hickey, we have a seconder for that. Councillor Gillett. Community Development Committee, I understand you'd like to be nominate for that, councillor Boland.
Yes, I would, Mayor Kennedy, but I also need a motion to place me on that committee as well, as I'm not on there as yet.
So Jeb will move a motion to alter that. So councillor Chandler, you said you'd be happy to go on to would you be happy to go on finance and policy? I think you're already on that one, aren't you? Yep. So would you like to move that we change that, we accept an extra person on the environmental and infrastructure, and that be councillor Chandler,
I'd move that way.
and that you go on to community services, and you'll someone like that nominate councillor Boland to be the chairman of that. Move Deputy Mayor Heckity, seconded councillor Chandler. Finance and governance, we have a nominator to be chairman of that. Councillor Allgate, you're interested in that?
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, so nominated Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded councillor Gallagher. Yeah. Oh, all right. We don't have, we'll capture it all at the end if someone moves it at the end, so we don't have to go through each one. The council appoints its council delegates to the vacant remaining of the following committees. Finance and Governance Standing Committee. I think councillor Turley said she'd like to be on infrastructure and environment. There is not a spot on that, but I think that councillor Turley would be happy to be on that. Youth Advisory, I'm not sure if councillor Turley would be like to be on that, but she was a founding member of that or inaugural member with myself. So we'll put councillor Turley on that, and she can change, nominate not to be out of that. Australia Day Advisory Committee, I think councillor Boland, you said you'd like to be on that. Also the Broken Hill Lead Reference Group. Tidy Towns, councillor Chandler, you said you'd be interested in being on that. That council considers councillor Turley's request for membership of the following committees, and given that these committees already have full memberships, if councillor Turley is appointed to any of these committees, working groups, the associated terms of reference be amended to include an additional councillor representative. Infrastructure and Environment Standing Committee, that is full. We'll keep it at 6. The Broken Hill City Art Gallery, what do the members of council think of expanding the committee for an extra councillor?
I'm fine with the numbers on that committee, Mayor Kennedy.
You fine? Councillor Byrne, you've spoken to councillor Turley. What is?
Yeah, look, that's what she, well, I don't know, she wasn't here, but yeah, if there's an extra number, I've got no issues with that. But.
Yeah. Councillor Chandler, you the
I think
chairman of that, or will be and have been?
I think the numbers are just fine on that. I think everybody's, it's enough there, I think.
Righto, so you can actually move an amendment to this at the end, councillor Byrne. So as it stands now, the numbers for the art gallery will stay the same. The Infrastructure Environmental Standing Committee has been changed, but to accept councillor Chandler. Disability Inclusion Action Plan Working Group's also full. People, do they wish to change that? No. Murray-Darling Association Region 4, that shouldn't be changed. That's an outside body, and that's, but the councillor Turley can change that later. The project steering group for the project consultative group has also been filled. Is there any view that they'd like that change? No. So it is to change none other than what was said for councillor Chandler, and the positions as spoken. We have a mover and a seconder for what was discussed. Moved Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded councillor Gillett. Do we have any amendments to that?
Yeah, I'd like to move an amendment.
Yep, thank you.
I'd like to move an amendment that councillor Turley be included on the ones that she wished.
Yep. Do we have a seconder for that? I will second it for the reason of debate. Councillor Byrne, you have a right to, it's unfortunate that you don't have someone here that gives you the opportunity to second it, and you should always be given the opportunity to put your arguments forward in the event that you are able to change the minds of people.
Yeah, look, we could debate, that's fine. Yeah, unfortunately, councillor Turley wasn't here, like, you know, councillor Boland wasn't here either. We've managed to find some for him. We changed the term of reference to some for me as well to be able to get onto special committees. So I don't think having extra people on there is a detriment to any committee. I think it's, you know, the more councillors that are, you know, we're democratically elected councillors, that we should be able to, you know, be involved in the things that we're passionate about.
Speakers against? I will make comment. I won't debate from the chair, but I will make comment. These are important processes. These are the processes that we do before for the next 12 months to be on committees. Committees are the most important things. Councillor Turley was first elected council in 1995 and has been mayor of this city. To not let someone know what committee she wanted to be on when we held this meeting was disappointing. And I can understand the frustration from councillors to now say we want to change it. Councillor Boland did tell councillors what he wanted to be on, and they did put it. The council positions that he has filled in are ones that weren't filled. So he's picking up the slack. And Councillor Turley could have picked up the slack for all those and would have been thankfully put on by all the councillors as we try to spread out the numbers. So that's my concern with these things. An important instrument of council that Councillor Turley didn't inform anyone that she wanted to be on that. And if she had, I have no doubt she would have been on the committees that she'd chosen. There is no debate. So all those in favour of the amendment, Councillor Byrne, against is Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Boland, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Jewett, Councillor Chandler, Councillor Gillett, Councillor Deputy Mayor Hickey and myself. The amendment is lost. The motion then as is. All those in favour of the motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 9 is the Audit and Risk and Improvement Committee Independent Members Appointment. Do we have a mover for that? Moved Councillor
Move that way.
Boland, seconded Councillor Allgate. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I hit the right button. I'll be on my way. It's great to see that there's some real skill sets on there, and I note that there's a former mayor on there as well, which will add a really depth of knowledge. So we've always been ahead of the ball when it comes to the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. It's a committee that I sat on for a period until they changed the way it was set up during the last council, and it's a good committee, and I'm really pleased to see the depth of talent that is on that committee, and it's a great way to get outside views and ensure that council is running in absolutely tip-top condition and following all legislation.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Councillor Chandler, would you just like to turn your mic off? Sometimes you get some feedback if too many start coming on. And plus I keep on thinking you want to speak. Do you want to speak? No, no, no. All right. Are there any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 10, adoption of the draft volunteer management policy. We have a mover for that. Move Councillor Gillett, seconded Councillor Jewett. You're getting all confused. Haley Jewett. Councillor Gillett, would you like to speak to that? No. Yeah, it's just pretty straightforward. It's just volunteers, but I will, is there any speaker that wants to speak to that?
I'd just like to comment in respect to the fact that we all, as a council, we know it's been very difficult to fill a lot of the 355 committees, and volunteers. A lot of the older people that have been volunteering in certain organisations for a long time, as they leave, there doesn't seem to be an abundance of young people ready to take over, and we're experiencing problems with, well, lots of 355 committees, and you know, it's hard to know what to do, but whatever we can do on a day-to-day basis to encourage people to volunteer their time, we should be doing it. I'm not sure what the answer is, but I know some of the 355 committees in particular, they just barely have a quorum at best, and they're not really workable in that respect.
No. Look, volunteers are the most important things, not only to the council, but the community as a whole, and anything we can do to encourage volunteers to volunteer is essential. Our volunteers are becoming more elderly. There's a few people in this room that are part of different volunteer groups. Councillor Gallagher in a number of them, legacies, getting older. Councillor Chandler, Councillor Gillett, plenty of volunteer groups that are involved, and you'd know that they're not getting any younger in those groups. We're all involved in different volunteer groups, and they are all getting older. Councillor Jewett.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it's a great policy, and yeah, volunteers are extremely important. I think it really does cover our duty of care to these volunteers, and hopefully it encourages more people to put their hand up and volunteer, because without them, these services may not, exist for much longer. So it's a very good policy.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 11 is a draft development conflict of interest policy for public exhibition.
Move that way.
Councillor Allgate, seconded.
Second that way.
Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Allgate.
Not much to say about that particular policy. It's rather detailed in terms of what constitutes various conflicts of interest, and it's an update of existing policies. The thing is that we don't seem to have a great deal of problems with conflict of interest locally, but I know in some areas, particularly in the metropolitan areas, they do have big problems. I think the policy that goes out for public exhibition there'll be very, very little comment.
Yeah, for sure. Councillor Gallagher, no. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Section 355, item 12, section 355 advisory asset committee framework.
Move that way.
Move Councillor Boland, seconded Councillor Byrne. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Good to see. This is just part of getting the Alma Oval Committee going again, and I note the review of the other committees as well. But it's important with the Alma Oval Committee. I chaired that committee when we ran out of volunteers. Talking about volunteers, we certainly ran out of volunteers with that one. So it's good to see it back forming again, and with representatives from all the user groups that use that facility.
Councillor Byrne.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what councillor Boland has said. On that committee with him. I look forward to working with him on that. And I think it's a good thing that, we use that Amarova one as a bit of a, a testing ground for the key user groups, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that use it. They're the ones that are going to have the issues and want to report back to council. So they're the ones that should be on those committees.
Without a doubt, and it works well, if councillor Gallagher wants to jump in a sec, it works well at the Memorial Oval, which is also a user committee. Councillor Gallagher?
Yeah, most definitely. As I said, the Memorial Oval is a multi-purpose oval with a lot of other key stakeholders like the Trots, Auskick, AFL. So it's good to see it all working together.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 13, exhibition of the draft voluntary planning agreement with ACAS Australia, New South Wales Pty Limited.
Move that way.
Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded. Councillor Jewett. Councillor Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Yeah, look, move that as written, and I'll just speak a little bit on it. So ACAS is the Hydrostore development, and under a voluntary planning agreement. Now, this is going to go on public display for 28 days. And I'll just read it. A planning agreement is a voluntary agreement under section 7.4 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, where in this case, the developer and the council enter into an agreement where the developer provides monetary contributions to council for projects that will have a material public benefit. Council solicitors have prepared the draft planning agreement as part of negotiations with the developer, and the developer has made a formal offer. Contributions are to be used for the following: a community energy project, which would be such as doing solar on all our buildings, etc. Would be one of the things. A heritage restoration project where a government-owned building that's not being used can be restored fully, and the funds go into doing that and becomes a good council asset. And the installation of a new telecommunications tower for the north of Broken Hill to do the race course, and it would also do Hydrostore, do right across the golf course, everything out there. At the moment, that figure is $3.1 million over a period of 5 years, which is a significant contribution to the town. I'd just like to say that back when we first started on council, 3.5 years ago, whatever it is, the very first meeting that the mayor, myself, and the general manager had was with Hydrostore, and their proposition sounded really good. And as business people, we said, well, what's in it for Broken Hill, which hadn't been done for a lot of years. A lot of people have come into this town and developed things. Council and the city of Broken Hill and the people of Broken Hill have got nothing out of it. Very, very little. This time we said, well, what's in it for Broken Hill? Because if there's nothing in it, well, then why should you come and be allowed to use all their infrastructure for nothing? So they were very, very good community citizens, as well as the way they come about it. They immediately said, well, look, we can come to an agreement with you for power or certain things, maybe grants, maybe scholarships, but we will certainly work with you. And this has gone on from now to where we are now. And hopefully this Hydrostore will get up and running, because there's $3.1 million for the people of Broken Hill. Thank you.
Councillor Byrne?
Yeah, I'll just echo what Deputy Mayor said. I know Hydrostore are very keen to get this project off the ground and to contribute to the city in any way. Let's just hope that energy project has some kind of storage, so we don't have any more issues with rooftop solar. And yeah, that the telecommunication tower at the north of Broken Hill is definitely needed. Many of events out of the race course have nearly stopped dead in the water because if you can't use your phone for your phone for your card to pay anything. So yep, good to see that VPA is coming to fruition.
Yeah, great outcome. All those in favour? Oh, did you want to speak, Councillor Gallagher? No.
No, not that. I was just going to say thank God for Skylink for the communications out that part of town with all those communications.
Yeah. Councillor Jewett?
I'd also like to add, agree with that, and it's a fantastic agreement and well done. I think the community with these policies that go up for exhibition, a lot of them get nil submissions, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But if there is any of the community watching this stream, you know, they're all important, but just have a read, just see what Broken Hill can gain from this agreement and put a submission.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 14, budget carryovers 2023-2024.
Move the recommendation.
Moved councillor Allgate, seconded councillor Chandler. Councillor Allgate.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I must admit at the outset that I'm always amused at the way we deal with carryovers in this day and age. 10 to 15 years ago, this council was severely criticised by the Office of Local Government and the auditors for carrying over $2 and $3 million back at that time. It's a good thing that those pressures don't apply now, because most of our carryovers are caused by lack of supply of materials and skilled workers, and the period of COVID, which slowed everything down. We had money for all sorts of things and couldn't get on with it. But the $45 million that we have in carryovers now, it looks like that most of our major projects will be completed in the 2025 financial year, and we'll start to see the benefits, big benefits, like the library and the netball courts and the taxiways at the airport, and there's a whole host. There's dozens and dozens of major projects in the making, and they'll be finished sometime during 2025. So it's good to see that we still have the money and we can still use it for the purpose it was originally intended.
Yeah, good outcome. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 15, investment report for August.
Move that
Councillor
way.
Boland, seconded. Councillor Allgate, Councillor Boland.
It's all written in there, all well looked after, and it was a few months ago now.
All in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 16 is the investment report for September.
Move that way.
Councillor Boland, seconded. Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Now I've got a bit more to say now that we're closer to the current month. I noted well balanced investment report, which is great, which is what we need to be doing with the monies that council holds. Note the inflation figures and the jobs growth. There was some extra inflation figures out today, so it's fallen to the lowest level since March 2021. Headline inflation is now 2.8% for the year, and the CPI for the quarter was 0.2%. You can look at it one or two ways. It's either good for inflation, or it means the economy is going backwards really, really quickly. And there's been a bunch of cost of living rebates put in, so it'll be interesting to see how they flow through the economy. But it certainly has trimmed that inflationary pressure. I still don't think the Reserve Bank will act until 2025. So we'll be still ticking over some good interest on those term deposits for a little bit longer yet. Good one.
Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 18, we have a... I've missed one. I've thrown it over too quick. Item number 17, proposed expansion of the Playtime Preschool and relocation of the CWA Alma Institute. Councillor Chandler moves, seconded Councillor Byrne. Councillor Chandler.
Yeah, the playtime school needs to be expanded to enable to keep providing a level of education that is at an affordable price. It will enable the parents to get back to work in the workforce earlier, even if it's only part-time. We're lowering the list of employers who are shutting their doors and closing their business due to lack of staff. Also, we can move the CWA. This will also help CWA with their goals, and the more we can help them, the more support they give out back to Broken Hill and the surrounding area.
Thank you, Councillor Chandler. Councillor Byrne.
Yeah, look, it's this business paper's got three items of things relating to childcare in Broken Hill. We all know, we all ran on on tickets that we in this room that there is a crisis in town with childcare. There is people leaving or thinking of leaving because there is lack of places. So, using an existing council infrastructure to let, playtime expand is great. And, I noticed there's an item as well about acquiring land. So, we've all held our promise here to, fix the childcare crosses in Broken Hill.
Thank you, councillor Byrne. Look, yeah, it really is important. It's important not only for childcare and the childcare provider is very thankful for the action taken. But the CWA is also pretty thrilled with the building itself. The building, when you look at it, have some real potential. It's like when you buy a new home. So as we went through that building, we spoke about what could be done there, and it really was quite exciting for the women of the CWA, but it's also exciting, and they were thankful to help where they could by allowing the potential for an expansion of childcare in the city. So I thank the CWA ladies, and I thank all involved. All those in favour, carried unanimously. Item number 18. So item number 18 is development application 56/2024, proposed transitional group home, 79 Wyman Street and 80 Cummins Lane, Broken Hill. Do we have a mover? Moved councillor Chandler, you moving the recommendation as written? Yep, seconded councillor Gallagher. You like to speak to that, councillor Chandler?
Yeah, I think this is a well thought out proposal. I feel the need for the development can enhance the community, and any of the fears of the neighbours can be overcome with negotiations to achieve a positive outcome for everybody.
I do agree. Any other speakers, councillor Gallagher?
Yeah, we had a site visit there today. It's well looked after, it's well designed, it's well structured, and I believe it's going to be an asset to that area. I do agree with councillor Chandler we can overcome any complaints that we do get later on with the proposals. So I commend this recommendation.
Any other speakers?
Mayor
Councillor
Kennedy.
Boland?
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Talking to the neighbours today at the site visit, which was a very successful site visit. They brought up the stormwater issue, and I said that I'd certainly have a look at the proposal here, and I can see that the stormwater's clearly marked out, and I think it's a good solution there that should allay those fears of the residents nearby around water. So again, I think any issues or fears from the neighbours can certainly be addressed very, very quickly.
Look, I think as councillors, we all understand that when any sort of development application goes on, there's always concerns from neighbours, and as councillors, we take into account those concerns and go out and have a look at them and address them as best we can. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Passes. Oh, no, sorry. I have to read this one out. So it's councillor Gallagher, councillor Byrne, councillor Boland, councillor Allgate, councillor Jewett, councillor Chandler, councillor Gillett, Deputy Mayor Hickey, myself, all in favour. Just for your information, carried as written. Item number 19, proposed compulsory acquisition of lot 4444 in deposit plan 757298, 123 Bagot Street. Moved Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded councillor Byrne.
Move that as written. Mayor Kennedy, it's a no-brainer, really. It's a Crown land block that we could get back and use for childcare with the adjoining childcare centre there. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Thank you.
Councillor Byrne?
I just move as written and echo what the Deputy Mayor said.
Yeah, look, this is one as a council I'm quite proud of. This is one that we saw as an issue probably about 2 years ago and started the processes of trying to free that land up. We did meet with Crown Lands on many occasions. Advice to council is to go down the process that we have gone down, and this will definitely free up that land a lot quicker had we gone down any other process. So thank you to the general manager. Thank you to Deputy Mayor. Thank you to all those that are involved, and thank you to all councillors that have been involved. Really important that we do get land for development in Broken Hill, and it's very important we get land for childcare in Broken Hill, so they may be expanded. All those in favour, carried unanimously. Item number 20 has, this is one of our public members are ready for this one. So the historic tram carriage, do we have a mover?
Move that way.
Moved. Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded.
Second that way.
Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Hickey.
Again, I think this is a no-brainer. I've been driving around that corner for the last 40 years, looking at that tram sitting there, slowly deteriorating until there's virtually nothing left. And I think the idea is that they've come up with the way to use the parts of it to reflect what was there. Well, great, and good luck. Thank you.
Any other speakers? Councillor Chandler. Councillor Chandler.
Yeah, it's good to see this train carriage being used, or parts of it, the way it's going to go. I'm sure the Railway Museum will enhance what's left of it and present it with its history for future generations. You will learn from.
I just might just say that Councillor Chandler was involved with the original when it was moved. The Historical Society, the Machine Preservation Society initially did want to get hold of that and do some work. So if it had have happened at a much earlier stage, we may have had a much better carriage. So unfortunately that didn't happen, and we are left with what we can do to save what's left of it. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 21, minutes of the Broken Hill Lead Reference Group.
Move that way.
Councillor Boland, seconded. Councillor Jewett. Councillor Boland.
It's all written there, and I'm looking forward to joining that committee for the next meeting as well.
Yep. Look, the Lead Reference Group is probably one of the most important groups council has. The Premier's Department's very interested in what they can do to remediate lead in Broken Hill. We can't stop mentioning it every time we do. 90% of children's lead levels that are over in New South Wales are in Broken Hill. We in Broken Hill are treated differently to everywhere else. If there was children's lead levels anywhere else in the state as high as what they are and as common as what they are in in Broken Hill, which is 40% of kids test over that level, it would be a national emergency. So we need to continue to put pressure on both the state and the federal government. It's a state issue, but the federal government also has an obligation to look after Broken Hill and the children of Broken Hill. So it's an important committee, and it's one that we need to continually raise with the Premier's Department, and that will be able to be done early in November. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2, minutes of the Local Traffic Committee meeting. We have a new number 1, Councillor Allgate.
Yeah, I'll move the recommendations.
Seconded. Councillor Chandler. Councillor Allgate.
Well, the report, there's 2 report of the minutes of 2 meetings, and there's lots of information there about requests. One of the items that needs to be drawn attention to is the fact that recognition of former councillor Marion Brown, her service of 15 years as council delegate on this particular committee needs to be recognised, and the council, I'm sure, supports that. Other things like there's been a request, some things stick out, but there's been a request for a pedestrian crossing across Thomas Street near the entrance of the hospital, and that's been refused. The reason it's been refused is certainly a good reason. It will take up about 50 metres either side of the hospital entrance. There'll be a loss of 50 metres either side of parking. parking's at a peak up there at the moment without taking away extra parking. And, you know, so there's good reason not to approve that. Yeah, there's, you know, there's a range, you have to go through the thing. There's a range of requests that have been put to the committee, and some have been approved, some have been still under investigation, some have been refused. You know, parking seems to be one of the big problems through the town, and there are several references to parking, and unresolved in many ways. But I think that this is a report that keeps the council up to date and the public up to date with what's going on in terms of the town in respect to specific traffic matters.
Yeah, it is. Any other speakers? All in favour, declared unanimously. Minutes of the 355 Youth Advisory Committee meeting. We have a mover for that. Moved councillor Gallagher, seconded. Councillor Allgate, councillor Gallagher.
Now the report's before you, Mayor Kennedy.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 4 is the Ageing World Advisory Committee meeting held 7th of August 2024. Councillor Allgate,
Move the recommendations.
seconded. Councillor Gallagher, councillor Allgate.
Nothing, not a great deal to report there. There's still concern about the number of hospital beds taken up by aged patients waiting for placement in nursing homes. I'm not sure at the very moment, the mayor might be able to elaborate, but I'm sure there are still people waiting in the hospital for vacancies to be available at the nursing homes in Broken Hill. There's a real shortage of beds, particularly in respect to the fact that the classification of our nursing homes in Broken Hill, I think it's MMM3. It needs to be up to MMM6, where the registered nurses requirement for staffing is relaxed a little more. So the way it is now, because of the absence of adequate staff, beds have been shut down for some considerable time, and that's not good in the aged community. Also, the Aged Care Act has been reviewed, and lots of changes apparently. There's been a PowerPoint presentation on that for some people. It's apparently the new act is coming in I think in about July next year, and there'll be requirements to be met, extra requirements to be met in terms of that. So there's a lot happening, but in terms of bed availability of bed places in the nursing homes, there's a real critical shortage.
Thank you, councillor Allgate. Any other speakers? Also, just like to acknowledge that Bernard Nankivell, who'd been a long time serving chairman of Southern Cross Care, who's retired. So if you'd like to add that we do send a letter of correspondence.
I'll be happy to add that. I unfortunately I missed that particular meeting when Bernard gave a presentation, and apparently the presentation was extremely good. You know, it's nothing better than hearing from somebody that's at the coalface and knows exactly what's going on and the problems that the nursing homes in Broken Hill are facing, and they're serious problems.
You second that, councillor Gallagher? Add that.
Most definitely, yes. Yeah, I was at that presentation, and it was a really, really good presentation. I do agree with councillor Allgate.
Did speak to Queensland Southern Cross Care or Southern Cross today. There is going to be a lot of hardship coming to Broken Hill, not of any fault of anyone other than the change of legislation, which makes it very difficult for regional aged care facilities to remain financially viable. So they've got a lot of work to do. It's really important for us as a council to continue to push for that Monash rating of 6. And if you just wouldn't mind adding that as well, Councillor Allgate, that we do continue to push that. And we remind the government that their Queensland Southern Cross are taking over, but they're not taking over to run at a loss. They're not there to subsidise our aged care industry or facilities. There's a requirement from the government to make sure that areas like Broken Hill remain as financially viable as possible. Yeah, that
I'll be happy to end that, Mayor. And apparently, the Southern Cross Care have got really significant losses in operational losses.
Happy with that, Councillor Gallagher? Yeah. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 25, Friends of the Flora and Fauna of the Barrier Ranges Community Committee, moved. Councillor Gallagher, seconded. Councillor Chandler. Like to speak to that, Councillor Gallagher?
No, it's all for us. It's a very good committee and they do a lot
Yeah.
of work.
They do. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 26 is the minutes of the Broken Hill Education Working Group meeting. Councillor Hickey, happy to move that.
Move that way.
Seconded. Councillor Allgate, speak to that.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. This is the minutes for 24th of July and the 4th of September, so we're a little bit out of date now. And I'll briefly say that the working group works very, very well. And Mr. Macbeth from the Education Department keeps us closely informed of everything that's going on. It's through that committee and through our other that we meet with him. And we can say that the last I heard that the demolition should start very early January. It was set for the last few weeks of December, but I think it's been moved back a little bit. But other than that, we've nothing more to report except that it's all going well. There's $90 million sitting there to be used, and the government have said if they need more, they'll can't get it out of the education fund. So, you know, if there's a bit of a flow over, well, then we're not going to lose out. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Hickey. No other speakers? No. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 27 is the action report. Councillor Gallagher,
Move that way.
too much yellow?
Too much amber and green's there, but at least we've got no red. It's good to see that we're actually progressing.
Definitely. Seconder. Councillor Chandler. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Questions taken on notice from the previous council meeting? So have a mover for that.
Move that way.
Move Councillor Gallagher, seconded Councillor Gillett. Councillor Gallagher,
Mayor Kennedy.
all those in favour? Carried unanimously. Before we go to questions for the next meeting, Councillor Allgate, you'd like to move a motion of urgency?
Yes.
Or move your motion after urgency?
Yes, Mayor Kennedy. The motion that I wish to submit is that the Broken Hill City Council invite the General Manager to prepare a report for the November council meeting detailing information and support provided by local government New South Wales to the Broken Hill City Council in relation to council submission in respect to the waste services levy.
Would you like that report ready a week or so before the council meeting?
Well, certainly, if possible, before the council, before.
Yep. Yep, we can have it before that allows you to action anything
Yeah,
that you
put
want
that
at
in.
that meeting.
Report before the November council meeting.
Seconded,
Second that way.
Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Allgate, you want to speak to that?
Only to say that the fear that this brings to the council and to the people of Broken Hill, if the boundaries are expanded and the current rates apply, it means around about a $400 additional waste charge on every ratepayer in Broken Hill, and that $400 actually goes out of town. It doesn't stay in town. It's money that goes out of town. We are one of the 25 members of Net Waste, and Net Waste have put forward submissions you know, really just spelling out quite strongly that we don't want any part of the expansion of boundaries. And it's my understanding that the council meeting, I think it was in July, we asked the general manager to write to the local government New South Wales to find out what they do, to see what they were doing on our behalf. And we haven't, my understanding is we haven't received a response. This council can't afford to have, it certainly can't afford to have every ratepayer in Broken Hill paying another $400 on top of their waste rates. And the city itself can't afford to lose that $400 going out of town. $4 million we're talking about. That's at the current rates, and the current rates are subject to probably CPI and all the rest of it. And it's forecast that they might go up as high as $700 per household. You know, that's just impossible. It's just unsustainable for most householders. And apart from the householders having to contribute, it's contributing money that will go out of the town. And we certainly can't afford to lose, the business people in the community can't afford to lose $4 million.
Thank you, councillor Holgate. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 17, questions for the next meeting. Do we have any questions from councillors for the next meeting?
Yeah,
Councillor
a
Byrne?
question for the general manager. I've just recently speaking to some business owners in Patton Street, and they would like council to consider some signage that points towards their precinct, like a shopping precinct, because they feel that people coming into town don't even know it's there, and if the more people we can push down Patton Street, the better, you know, off the businesses down there as well. So that was a question from them.
Okay, that won't be any problem with that, councillor Byrne. Any other speakers? No. Public forum session, the second public forum session of 15 minutes will consider submissions from the public regarding matters that were considered by council at this meeting only. Speakers allocated 2 minutes. Do we have any speakers? Yep, we have a couple.
Going to work or not?
Yeah, you'll be right.
Now, I'm a volunteer at the hospital, the kiosks.
Could you
And
just
I'm-
say your name, Mark?
Margaret
For-
Pryor.
Just for the
Yeah.
tape
right.
recorder.
I'm a volunteer at the kiosks at the hospital, and I'm a legatee. I do legacy. I've only joined in the last 3 years, and I love doing it. Now, I brought up the other day, I tried getting a lady to join kiosks, and she was very interested. Now, we might get it that this is one of the problems why people aren't joining volunteers. They've got to go through so many things first, like a police check, your birth certificate. I've got a few things down here. Marriage certificate, a passport, 2 people to sign it, to see it. And this is what you do. And Mel turned this lady away because she had 2 things, and she's gone now. I don't think she's going to join. She went up, give Mel her paperwork. It took her days to do, weeks. And now she has turned away from it because it costs too much bother to join it. Even in salvos or at the secondhand shops and all. You've got to do a lot of another person has to, in Rotary's got to do a child check to do it, to sell food and have children running around. Yes, that's my thing. That might be one of the
Yeah.
problems, because
Yeah,
we
just
just
a-
can't get younger people
just a
to
quick
join.
question to councillor Gallagher, who would probably know this. It's only if you're in the control of children, isn't it, councillor Gallagher? It's if you're it's not just if you're serving food, unless you were serving out of each school canteen. Councillor Gallagher?
Yeah, you're fairly well right there, Kennedy. If you're not constantly with children or the elderly, you don't really need a working with children check.
Yeah.
You may need a police check. You don't have to do
Yeah.
working with children check. It's only under direct
Well,
control.
Rotary has to.
Yeah.
Because they're
people-
serving children out of,
L-
out of
A lot of
Silverton.
people have it because they volunteer to have it. Under the legislation, if you're looking after your own children, even if there's other children, there's no requirement to have a working with
Well-
children check. So there's a lot of these organisations have them as a mitigating risk. So they're getting ahead of what's required. And sometimes as I understand, it makes it difficult for people because people are anything that's too hard makes them not want to do it. And some of these organisations probably need to make sure that they help these people out by filling out the forms for them, etc. Helping by making sure that they, because once the form goes in, it goes into Service New South Wales and then you go pick it up. So a lot of these groups need to make sure that they help their volunteers to make sure that there isn't too much work involved. The council was
So
just
you know, Mel,
speaking to the general manager and he just said that council doesn't have all those requirements. For that reason, you don't want to turn volunteers away if you can help it.
thank you. I
Yeah.
thought might be one that might help.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
well, we can as a community, as a council, because we do speak directly to Far West Health and meet on occasions with the management. We can certainly bring that up with them about the need to make it easier for volunteers to work within the hospital system.
Well, when you're 60 odd, who's gonna, put a rampade up at the hospital or whatever and
Yeah.
do whatever?
So we can
Please
certainly,
check, yes, because you never know.
we can
if
certainly
they've
follow
done
it up.
something. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Ros, just if you just say your name on the tape. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Ros O'Connor. I'm actually here to say thank you to the council as regards netball. I believe a couple of you have already been down there and checked out how the
Yeah.
courts are going. And they seem to be going really well. Took one little girl down there and she stood there and said, but where are the netball courts? I said, well, they've gone. Oh, how come? I said, well, they're doing them up so the service is better. There's no poles, no poles. They'll all be put back. So it's looking really well, I think, at the moment. And I'm sure the committee would like me to say thank you. And when you make your speech at the opening, which is probably going to be early next year, as you know, I did a history of the library. Well, I'm doing one on netball, so
Oh,
I'll
good-
make your
good one.
speech.
Good one.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your thank you. Any other speakers? No? So that brings, we have nil confidential matters. So this concludes the meeting. As there is no further business for council to consider, I